The walls of Jericho lie in smoking ruins, broken stone scattered across the plain, and Israel's army stands in stunned silence at a victory that still feels almost impossible to believe. Joshua raises his voice among the soldiers, repeating one absolute command from the Lord. Everything found inside this city is devoted to destruction, and nothing may be kept for personal gain. Silver, gold, bronze, and iron are to be gathered separately from everything else and placed into the treasury of the Lord, considered sacred and completely untouchable by any human hand. Among the thousands of soldiers moving through the smoking ruins is a man named Achan, son of Carmi, grandson of Zabdi, a respected member of the tribe of Judah. Achan searches through a half-collapsed house like everyone else around him, kicking aside broken pottery and blackened timber, looking only for anything worth salvaging before the fires spread further. His sandal catches on something solid buried beneath the rubble, and when he pulls back a loose stone, the corner of a beautiful woven robe from distant Babylon appears in the dust. He lifts the heavy robe free and discovers beneath it a solid bar of silver, and further down, a wedge of pure gold gleaming faintly in the fading afternoon light. His hands begin to tremble, not from any fear of the dead city surrounding him, but from a sudden and overwhelming desire to keep everything he has just uncovered. He glances quickly down the empty street, listens for footsteps, sees no watching eyes anywhere nearby, and quietly tells himself that just this once, surely, no one will ever know. Achan wraps the robe tightly around the silver and the gold, presses the bundle against his chest beneath his cloak, and walks calmly back toward the Israelite camp, as if nothing had happened. That night, inside his own tent, he digs a shallow hole beneath the very floor where his family sleeps and buries the stolen treasure deep in the soft earth below them. He smooths the disturbed dirt carefully back into place, lies down beside his wife and sons, and quietly convinces himself the entire matter is already finished, sealed, and forgotten forever. Some days later, Joshua turns his full attention toward the next target, a small city called Ai, sitting quietly in the hill country not far from the ruins of Jericho. He sends a small group of scouts ahead to study the town's defenses carefully, and they return with confident news that Ai is small, poorly defended, and barely worth a full army. The scouts recommend sending only 2,000 or 3,000 men forward, sparing the rest of the exhausted army the trouble of marching against such an apparently minor and weak target. Joshua agrees to their assessment, and roughly 3,000 Israelite soldiers march confidently up toward Ai, fully expecting the same kind of swift and total victory they had just witnessed at Jericho. But the men of Ai come rushing out from their gates and strike first, catching the confident Israelites badly off guard on the open rocky slopes just outside the city walls. What should have been an easy, one-sided fight turns suddenly chaotic as the defenders of Ai chase the retreating Israelites down the steep hillside toward the nearby stone quarries. 36 Israelite soldiers fall during that desperate retreat, cut down while fleeing, and the shaken survivors scatter back toward camp carrying nothing but shame, confusion, and disbelief. Word of the sudden defeat reaches Joshua quickly, and the ancient text says, "The hearts of the entire people melt like water, terror spreading rapidly through the whole camp." Joshua tears his own clothes in grief and falls face down before the Ark of the Covenant, and the elders of Israel fall down on the ground right beside him. They throw dust over their heads and remain lying there until evening falls, stunned that the same Lord who gave them Jericho would allow such a sudden and humiliating defeat. Joshua cries out to God, asking why he ever brought Israel across the Jordan River at all, only to hand them over now to be destroyed by their enemies. He worries aloud that the surrounding nations will hear news of this defeat and surround Israel completely, wiping their name and their people entirely off the face of the earth. The Lord answers Joshua directly and firmly, telling him to get up immediately, because lying face down on the ground will not solve what has actually just happened to Israel. God declares plainly that Israel itself has sinned, that someone among them has taken devoted things, stolen them secretly, hidden them away, and even lied by keeping them among their own belongings. Because of this hidden, unconfessed sin, the Lord explains, Israel cannot possibly stand before its enemies again until the devoted things are completely removed from among the people. Joshua is instructed to consecrate the entire community and prepare everyone for the following morning, when the guilty individual will finally be exposed publicly before all of Israel. The process will unfold gradually, tribe by tribe, then clan by clan, then family by family, and finally man by man, narrowing steadily until only one person remains standing. Whoever is ultimately caught holding the devoted things the Lord warns solemnly must be destroyed completely because he has violated the sacred covenant of the Lord in the worst possible way. That night, word spreads quickly through the entire camp that someone among them has stolen from what rightfully belonged to God alone, and fear grips every single household. No one yet knows who the guilty person actually is, but everyone quietly suspects their neighbor, and nervous whispers move steadily through the tents until sunrise finally arrives over the camp. In the morning, Joshua brings the tribes of Israel forward one at a time before the Lord, and after careful process, the lot falls directly on the tribe of Judah. The various clans of Judah step forward next in turn, and from among them, the lot falls specifically and unmistakably on the clan known as the Zerahites. Family by family within the Zerahite clan comes forward one at a time, and the lot eventually lands squarely on the family of Zabdi, who is Achan's own grandfather. Finally, man by man from within that single family is brought forward before Joshua, and the lot falls directly and undeniably on Achan, son of Carmi. The entire camp watches in tense silence as Achan steps forward slowly, his face visibly pale, knowing there is nowhere left in the world to hide his secret any longer. Joshua speaks to him gently but firmly, urging him to give glory to the Lord God of Israel and to confess honestly and completely exactly what he has done. Achan admits everything without any further resistance, saying plainly that he saw a beautiful robe, silver and gold among the plunder, and simply could not resist the urge to take them. He tells Joshua precisely where the stolen items are buried, hidden carefully beneath the floor of his own family tent, still wrapped tightly inside the original Babylonian robe. Joshua immediately sends messengers running toward Achan's tent, and they begin digging quickly into the earth exactly where he had just described the secret hiding place. They uncover the robe, the silver, and the gold exactly as Achan had confessed, and they carry the recovered items carefully back before the entire waiting assembly of Israel. The messengers lay the stolen treasure out plainly on the ground in front of Joshua and all the assembled people, in full view of every single witness gathered there. Joshua then takes Achan himself, along with the silver, the gold, the robe, his sons, his daughters, his oxen, his donkeys, his sheep, his tent, and everything else he owns. All of it together is brought down into a nearby valley, along with Achan and his entire household, in preparation for what the Lord had already commanded must now happen. Joshua asks Achan directly why he has brought such terrible trouble upon all of Israel, declaring solemnly that the Lord will now bring trouble crashing back upon him in return. The entire community joins together in that valley, and Achan is stoned by all of Israel collectively, along with the members of his own family who stood beside him. After the stoning is finished, the bodies are burned completely, along with the stolen robe, the silver and the gold that had caused so much devastation and needless loss of life. The people then pile a great heap of stones over the remains, a lasting physical marker that stands there for many generations afterward as a permanent and solemn warning. Because of everything that happened there that day, the valley is named Achan, meaning trouble, forever linking that specific place to Achan's hidden and costly sin against his own people. After this difficult act of justice is carried out, the Lord's burning anger finally turns away from Israel, and the path forward toward conquering Ai opens up once again. Joshua receives brand new instructions from the Lord, telling him not to be afraid any longer and to take the entire remaining army back toward the city of Ai. This time, the battle plan involves a careful ambush, hiding a large group of soldiers behind the city while a smaller decoy group draws the defenders of Ai outward. The king of Ai, still confident after his earlier surprising victory, leads his men out from the city once again, eagerly chasing what looks like a familiar retreating Israelite force. As the city empties out completely to pursue Joshua's retreating men, the hidden Israelite ambush suddenly rises up from concealment and takes the undefended city entirely by surprise. Thick smoke rises rapidly from Ai as the ambush force sets the empty city on fire, signaling clearly to the rest of the army that their careful trap had fully succeeded. Caught helplessly between the returning Israelite army in front and the burning ruins of their own city behind them, the men of Ai suddenly have nowhere left to retreat. This time, Israel achieves a complete and total victory, and the city of Ai falls exactly the same way Jericho had fallen before it, just as originally intended. 12,000 people, representing the entire population of Ai, are recorded as destroyed that single day, a stark and sobering contrast to the earlier humiliating defeats suffered before. The real difference between these two very different battles was never about clever tactics or army size, but rather whether devoted things remained secretly hidden among the people. One man's private, secret decision made quietly inside a ruined house back in Jericho had ultimately been enough to cost 36 soldiers their lives outside the walls of Ai. Achan likely believed his small theft was harmless and private, just a single beautiful robe and a bit of metal that surely no one else would ever notice or miss. Yet the finished story deliberately frames this private, personal choice as a full national event, tying one man's hidden greed directly to widespread public defeat and communal grief. Scholars and readers alike have long debated why Achan's entire family, including his children, suffered alongside him, a disturbing detail that troubles many modern readers deeply, even today. Some argue that the family may have actually known about the hidden treasure buried beneath their own tent floor and simply chose to say absolutely nothing about it. Others see the destruction of his whole household as reflecting older ancient ideas of shared corporate responsibility, where an entire family bore the consequences of one member's serious guilt. Either explanation still leaves the story deeply unsettling, a clear reminder that ancient biblical narratives do not always resolve neatly into comfortable modern moral categories or expectations. What remains genuinely clear, however, is the deliberate literary structure of the account, moving carefully from secret sin to sudden public defeat to careful, methodical investigation. The lottery process itself, steadily narrowing from tribe to clan to family to individual, reads almost like an ancient forensic procedure designed specifically to expose hidden guilt. It suggests a tightly bound community entirely unwilling to let one hidden act quietly poison the whole group, without first carefully identifying exactly who was truly responsible. Achan's eventual confession, once he was finally cornered, includes surprisingly vivid detail, naming the robe's distant origin, the exact weight of the silver, and the shape of the gold. This level of specific, lingering memory suggests he had likely thought about that hidden treasure repeatedly, obsessively even, ever since the very day he first uncovered it. The ancient text notes plainly that he saw it, then coveted it, and only then took it, describing a slow internal process rather than a single sudden impulsive act. That specific progression, from seeing to wanting to finally taking, closely mirrors patterns described elsewhere throughout ancient wisdom literature regarding the deceptive, gradual nature of temptation itself. The Valley of Achan, meaning trouble, becomes a permanent and lasting place name, embedding the memory of this entire event directly into Israel's shared physical geography forever. Later biblical writers actually go on to reference this exact same valley, transforming it gradually from a symbol of harsh judgment into an unexpected symbol of future hope. The prophet Hosea later speaks of the Valley of Achan becoming a door of hope, suggesting that genuine restoration can still follow even the most severe of consequences. This much later reinterpretation shows clearly how ancient audiences continued actively wrestling with this difficult story long after the original events themselves had already passed into history. For the original audience hearing this account, the story likely functioned primarily as a serious warning about the true seriousness of devoted or explicitly forbidden things. Within the context of ancient holy war practices described throughout the text, devoted items were considered fully set apart, belonging exclusively and completely to God alone. Taking them for oneself was therefore never treated as simple theft, but rather as sacrilege, a direct violation of the entire community's covenant relationship with the divine. The severity of the resulting punishment reflects just how seriously such violations were treated within the particular value system embedded throughout this ancient religious text. Modern readers often focus heavily on questions of basic fairness, but ancient audiences likely focused instead on the deeper danger posed by hidden, unaddressed communal sin. The story consistently suggests that hidden wrongdoing never truly stays contained, but instead spreads steadily outward, affecting even people who never made the original harmful choice themselves. 36 separate families throughout Israel lost a husband, a brother, or a son, all because of one quiet decision made privately inside a ruined house in Jericho. Those grieving families never actually learned the true reason for their sudden loss until the careful lottery process finally exposed Achan days after the original battle had ended. Imagine standing quietly among the mourners at Ai, grieving a sudden and unexpected defeat, completely unaware that the true underlying cause was hidden beneath a nearby family's tent floor. The narrative deliberately never lets Achan's underlying motive slip into anything especially dramatic or exotic, describing only ordinary human greed for beautiful and genuinely valuable things. That very ordinariness may actually be the most unsettling part of the entire account, since his particular temptation closely resembles temptations that remain extremely common even today. Very few stories throughout the Hebrew Bible tie such personal, private decisions so directly to large-scale communal consequences in quite such a stark and memorable way. The account offers no half measures whatsoever, no partial punishment, and no quiet private warning. Only a full and immediate public reckoning laid bare before absolutely everyone present. Whether or not modern readers ultimately agree with the severity involved, the story still preserves a very old and serious idea about hidden sin and genuinely shared consequence. Israel's leaders needed the guilty party publicly and clearly identified, partly in order to restore basic communal trust after such an unexpected and deeply painful military defeat. Once Achan was finally exposed and properly dealt with, the ancient text notes plainly that the Lord's fierce anger immediately turned completely away from the wider community. That specific detail strongly suggests the earlier defeat and the resulting internal fear had already been costing Israel far more than just the original battle casualties alone. AI's eventual and complete destruction closes the immediate crisis, but the Valley of Achan still remains as a lasting geographic memory of this entire unsettling episode. Centuries later, readers encountering the prophet Hosea's promise of hope rising from that very same valley would immediately recognize exactly which older story it was echoing. The lasting tension between harsh judgment and eventual restoration gives this relatively obscure episode a surprising afterlife within much later biblical tradition and collective religious memory. Achan himself is rarely mentioned in modern sermons, compared to towering figures like David or Moses, yet his brief story raises some of the sharpest questions about hidden guilt. In the end, a single hidden robe, one bar of silver and a small wedge of gold changed the fate of an entire army, one man's secret decision rippling outward into every single home that lost a son that day.